I've got about 10 of them, and that's going to kind of go over the content of what we're going to do today. The title of today's message is going to be, When You Cause the Candles to Ascend. And this is taken from this week's Torah portion. So if we'll go past the cover to the next slide, to kindle a soul. We're going to explore in this teaching what it means to kindle a soul, to have a true union. The three-dimensional flame of love is something we're going to look at in a meditation on flame. And so now let's look at to kindle a soul. Proverbs 20:27, the spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inner parts of the belly. Candles are the soul that must be kindled. The 7 candles of the menorah represent 7 archetypal souls. So what does this mean? Well, in Genesis 1:26, man was created in the image of God. Our soul's composition of the likeness of God's divine attributes. And there are 7 divine emotive attributes: kindness, severity, harmony, perseverance, humility, foundation, and royalty. And every soul possesses each of these traits, but one is dominant, shaping the individual soul's unique service of God. So as we look at each attribute, kindness, a soul whose service of God is characterized by a calm and flowing love. This soul is also overflowing with love for his fellows. Severity, a soul who serves God with awe and a flaming passion, highly disciplined, holds high expectations for himself and others. Harmony, the soul who has achieved a perfect synthesis or balance of kindness and severity, accomplished through the study of Torah, the source of the soul's capacity for compassion. Perseverance, a soul who is constantly battling and struggling, but is ultimately triumphant. Humility, the soul who exemplifies self-abnegation in favor of allowing itself to be overwhelmed by God's goodness. Foundation, the soul whose unique talent is establishing giving relationships intellectually and otherwise. And royalty, the soul who serves its Creator in a majestic manner. In the temple's menorah, all 7 branches were hewn from a single block of pure gold. We may have different dispositions or even different methods of serving God, but we are essentially one. We have one purpose, one mission, with different ways to accomplish the same goal: serving our Creator and being a guiding light for the entire world. We look at true union. True union, the priest must hold the source of fire to the candle until the flame ascends independently and no longer requires the source of fire in order to burn. When we desire to kindle another soul, we must steadily hold our own source of fire to the soul to be kindled until it no longer is dependent upon us. The sign of true union is when each soul maturely and independently connects to another. This week's Torah portion, taken from Numbers 8:1 through 12:16. And I'm not very good with Hebrew, but I'm going to try it. Bahalacha means when you cause the candles to ascend. In defining this commandment, the sages teach that the priest must hold the source of fire to the candle until the flame of the candle ascends independently and no longer requires the source of the fire in order to burn. Dorothy, will you help me? Will you like the menorah for me? Maybe the wind is going to walk right. Do you want to look for a particular direction? No, I don't have a preference. And as she's lighting, we're able to see how it takes a moment to hold that flame to the candle and how the flame grows until it's able to stand independently. When we desire to kindle another soul, we must steadily hold our own source of fire to the soul to be kindled until it is no longer dependent upon us. Although in many relationships, including the teacher-disciple relationship, the sign of true union is when each soul maturely and independently connects with another. And we, this group, especially the one from Saluda, they'll know more of what I'm talking about, we've experienced this true union. As I studied for this teaching, I recalled how our group dynamics have changed. 10 plus years ago, when I first started learning Torah, it was with this group, and it was under Joan's teaching. And over the years, we've seen people drift in and drift out. But approximately a year and a half ago, the whole group dynamic changed. Joan stepped down from the group as the teacher, and it seemed that the group had become divided. And it was really hard to make this change. But it was necessary to make this change. This change promoted growth in me, and I believe it promoted growth in others as well. It was after this change that I started meeting with Joan for her Bridge Spring counseling that she does. And that was also a tremendous blessing to me. I learned a lot about myself. But it was through these two events that my writing was birthed. Through them and these changes that took place. Well, I'm sitting at my mother-in-law's in Mississippi that, God says, you've got to do more. You can't just sit there and be spoon-fed. There's a whole world to reach. And I said, well, how? And he says, blog. And I kind of chuckled, blog? What's that? I had read a few, but I'd never looked into setting one up, marketing it, getting it out there. But it was a test of faith. He says, if you trust me, I'll do it. The ones I want to see it will see it, and the ones that don't, then they don't have to. That's okay. You don't have to worry about that aspect of it. But it was during this time that I come to realize, as I'm struggling with the group dynamics changing, I was the baby being pushed out of the birth canal through the contractions and the birth pains that our group experienced. I'm going to go to the next slide. A true union was being birthed, one which consists of love and freedom, sovereignty. While it felt like we were being torn apart, actually we were being united in a miraculous way, because a true union was being birthed in us, one that consists of love and freedom, of sovereignty. And sovereignty is unlimited power over a country's independent authority and the right to govern itself, freedom from external control, controlling influence, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. It was Joan's obedience to God's will which has allowed us to be in true union today. Without her obedience, I would not be writing and would not have a syndicated teaching moment worldwide over the internet. Dorothy probably wouldn't be sharing some of the teachings that she's sending out through email with us that are just awesome teachings. Joan's obedience gave us wings to soar and to ignite souls as she had ignited the souls in us. The next slide, examine the sovereignty of your sovereignty. So we're going to ask ourselves today, does this sovereignty come from deep-rooted inner confidence in yourself? Is it just a put-on to mask your insecurities? Are you aware of your uniqueness as a person, of your personal contribution? And if things had not changed, would you see your sovereignty? In the Shema, we quote the commandment in the Torah to love God on 3 levels. With all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your might. The commandment to light the flame is only complete when all 3 levels of love have been kindled in the soul and burn independently. To set souls on fire is an act of love. In this week's portion, Aaron, the priest, commanded to light the candles, represents infinite love. When he lights the candles, he kindles the experience of love in the hearts of his fellow people. His people are themselves candle lighters, kindling the souls of those around them until they, too, experience the independent ascent of love of God, their own souls towards God. I didn't read that right. To experience the independent ascent of love of their own souls toward God. Just as Aaron was the candle lighter for his people, Joan was the candle lighter for this group. And each of you are candle lighters for those around you, whether it's on the internet, at work, in your congregations, or in your families. We go to the slide that's got the candle with the flame and the things out beside it. When one examines a flame, he can see it has three parts. And I'm going to start with number 1, which represents the physical. The blue or black part of the flame is adjacent to the energy source, the wick. The wick symbolizes the physical dimension of the heart on fire with love of God. True love affects the heart physically. The next part, we have the soul. The white part of the flame surrounds the blue flame. This part of the flame corresponds to loving God with all one's soul. Just as the soul doesn't touch the body, so this part of the flame does not touch the wick. And then we go to our might. An aura or a halo surrounds the flame. It corresponds to the love of God with all one's might. When we love God with all of our hearts, souls, and mights, we have also kindled the complete flame of love for His Torah, His people, and His land. This love ascends with independent power, kindling the candle of love for God in the souls of all whom we encounter. So take a moment and concentrate on yourself, on your true inner self, not your performance, not how you project yourself to others, and be at peace with yourself, knowing that God created a very special person, which is you. Amen. We just ended the Omer count, and we have achieved all we can accomplish through our own initiative. And then we receive a gift from above, that which we could not with our own limited faculties. We receive the ability to actually reach and touch the divine. Not only to be cultivated human beings who have refined each of their personal characteristics, but divine human beings who are capable of expressing above and beyond their defined human emotions and actually express that which is unexpressible and undefinable in human terms. The most intimate emotions that transcend the 49 defined attributes. So this day, accept this gift from God, the true union of our groups, the sovereignty which comes from mature unity, and the three-dimensional flame of love. Thank you.